Next up is Vin Armani of cointext.io. I'm sure he's going to have some interesting things to say, and I hope everybody has lots of questions for him. So, Vin, you can go right ahead and take the stage.
Hello. Hey, George. How's it going? I'm actually here in Saipan. I'm here with Alex Ugorji, who is the founder of Crypto Frontier. Some of you guys have probably seen the things that we've been doing here with USDH and, just trying to essentially have a little bit of a restart when it comes to adoption. I think as we look at 3 years now of BCH, it's interesting because I've been listening lately to some of the things that people have said. I caught actually today the Roger Ver and Anthony Pompliano podcast, and it's striking to me that so many of the narratives and how we view Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, is still, it feels to me, so many years behind. And we've moved so far. Now we have tokens. I think that we've really distinguished ourselves as a network from BTC in so many ways, in all of the ways that are important. Still having the cheap, fast, reliable transactions while still having nodes that any business or individual can run inexpensively if they want to run their own node. And we have all of these other tools. So those people who have been checking us out and what we've been doing here have seen that we've primarily been focused on USDH as a stable coin. And we're planning on integrating Tether once there's a little more liquidity in the market with that as well. And this was really an opportunity. I've been here since April. In December, Alex will have been here a year. He founded Crypto Frontier. So in a little bit of time that we have, I think, Alex, if you want to just talk a little bit about the project and what we're doing here, and then if people have questions either about Saipan or about the things that we are doing in terms of sort of our strategy for adoption, we're happy to take that as well. But I mean, if you want to just tell them how you found yourself here and the reason why we're doing all of this here in Saipan.
Yeah, sure. So essentially what I noticed is that most successful industries, they all cluster together. So you have Hollywood is the movie industry. Detroit was historically the car industry. You have the tech cluster in Silicon Valley, and all throughout the world, you see similar clusters. So what I was looking for is where could crypto people cluster? And it seems like there's not really a strong place, not just where crypto people are, but where they can have influence. They used to say what's good for Detroit is good for America, right? Detroit was this very strong cultural, political, and economic force. And although there are places that have a lot of crypto people congregated, there's no place where they have that level of cultural and political cachet. So I visited Saipan in the past. I was aware of its tax advantages. For example, we don't pay the IRS here. Locally sourced income is exempt from the IRS. We have our own tax agency. We have a lot of autonomy. We have special Saipan-only visas, and we're located in close proximity to many other places with a lot of crypto people. We're about 3.5 hours from Japan, 4.5 hours from Hong Kong, and 4.5 hours from Seoul. And China is nearby as well. So we're kind of in this fast-moving region of mega cities that all have a fair amount of crypto people while still being on US soil. So we're kind of this in-between area for the world, but we're small enough. There's only 19,000 registered voters. Senators are elected with as few as 550 people. So the government's very accessible. I've met with senators and commissioners and other big people that I would have no chance of meeting anywhere else. So it seemed like a very ideal location, both its geographic location, its regulatory and business environment, and it's also someplace where any American can move to, and due to the special visas, it's much easier for foreigners to move to than anywhere else in America. So it seemed like the ideal place to build something cool, something innovative, and what's more cool and innovative than crypto, specifically BCH.
Yeah, and as we sat down, as when I first arrived, as I said, I arrived back in April, and we sat down, and it was really everything was on the table at that point. I think while there had been other individuals who had come in, it was interesting because there was a heavy libertarian bent to the people who immediately gravitated toward this, and interestingly enough, a heavy New Hampshire bent. A lot of people who had been involved with the Free State Project. So there was or at least at some point in their lifetime, who had been associated. And you're actually from not too far away from New Hampshire originally. So there's a kind of a New England, maybe it's a New England vibe, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to that, because here you have this classic location where people traveled to find more freedom, established, what became such a powerhouse in terms of the US economically, politically, militarily. And here's this kind of unknown, for the most part, place that is within the US law, as you said, and everything was on the table. And yet probably in no small part because like the tools were very readily available with me coming here, but it was the perfect timing in terms of USDH being able to say, hey, let's try this with the stable coin. We have the new protocols like the postage protocol that we've been using here. Now in the point of sales, it's just it's default in the point of sales, and we're adding in, we just debuted tipping, non-custodial tipping to be able to tip your servers. It's been interesting onboarding merchants here and how much of the typical Bitcoin value prop that was the Bitcoin only value prop, and then BTC lost that because of their fees, and then it became the BCH value prop, the fast, cheap, reliable transactions. It's been a lot less about that. When the unit of account is US dollar, which we've had the tool to do because we have the stable coins, it's much more about our focus on community here, and the fact that, hey, if you accept this cryptocurrency, we can promise you more business. And so we bring people for meetups. I've probably about 4 days in a row now, and then I think I missed maybe 2 days, but pretty steadily we frequent the businesses that accept the currency, and people here are really happy with that. I think there's a couple questions here that I can get to that I think are on that are sort of on this topic. Somebody, let's see, Crypto Panda asked a random question. Vin said before that ETH is dead, Ethereum is dead. That's in quotes. Yet lots of biz seems built on it. Can he elaborate a little on BCH versus ETH going forward? Yep, I definitely can. So I don't exactly remember when I said ETH is dead, but I also probably did say that. The Ethereum killer app, plain and simple, was the ERC20 token. And really the killer app situation happened during that 2017 run up. That's when Bitcoin hit its all-time high because of the hype that was created by what was happening on Ethereum. Bottom line, that's the truth. I will take that analysis to the grave, that's what was going on. You had a massive influx of individuals coming in looking for fast money, but I think you also had this kind of promise that I saw in the early days of the internet in the mid-90s, where it was very much about like the sky is the limit, this is the new Wild West, we can go out here and like stake our claim with these ICOs. But as we see, that basically fell apart. And so we, after that, got like CryptoKitties basically from Ethereum. And now we've got DeFi. And I've since the beginning, when people started talking about DeFi, if people want to go, there's a video of Krista Rose and I talking about DeFi and basically the snake oil idea. And that's how I feel about it, is that, we have the opportunity to rewrite the financial norms it's not about, just like with the ICOs, it's like, it's not about stuffing old financial instruments and ideas of old financial instruments into a blockchain context. So rewriting the old financial instruments as a smart contract is really is cutting ourselves, it's selling ourselves short, I should say, because really what we need to be doing is we need to be looking at, and this is what Bitcoin Cash has been bringing to the table consistently. We need to look at what are the new capabilities that we are given with the tool set that we have. And then with that, what are the new financial instruments that we can create? And on BCH, we're already seeing this. I mean, Opcheck DataSig opened up so many possibilities from, escrow with an Oracle, things that I've been working on. AnyHedge is probably the most, let's say, well-known example within the community of people who are using an escrow with an Oracle, but there are certainly others. Covenants, people haven't even begun to see what is going on with the covenants, but I'm going to be coming out with a protocol before the end of this year that takes some old ideas of how to do payment channels and uses covenants to solve it. And it's just so much better than it ever could have been on BTC. These are the types of things that we need to be exploring. And instead of looking for how we can be like Ethereum or how we can fit into an old financial paradigm and bring that old financial paradigm, I've said many times, this is a multi-generational project. We're looking at year 3 right now, but I'm really planning on towards year 30. This is something that I want to work on in some context for the rest of my life, because there is that opportunity. And that was one of the reasons that I came here and brought my family here and brought my children here, was that it really does represent, I think, especially now with this crisis going on, it represents an opportunity to start something brand new. And they're hungry for that here. Maybe Alex, if you want to talk about like what you've seen in terms of the prospects here, just in terms of with the financial crisis that's hitting the world, like where the opportunities are here, how open this community is, to touch on some of those intangibles that you've seen while you've been here.
Yeah, sure. So I think one thing to keep in mind is the former economy of Saipan, which was, there are 2 industries, tourism and government. And now due to the COVID, there's basically 0 tourism. So they're really looking right now for new opportunities. And even before COVID, when I was speaking with senators and government officials in January, they were really interested in diversifying away from tourism because they were starting to see some of the cracks. The arrivals were down in 2019 as compared to 2018 and even 2017. The casino, which is the biggest attraction tourism-wise, was also showing some signs of cracking. So they're figuring out, what can we do? We're an island in the middle of the Pacific. Our manufacturing competitiveness is a little lower. Are there services we can export? And they have initiatives already, qualified certificates where if you're exporting services at a high level, you can get tax exemptions. And they've been trying to bring in businesses and other interested parties to create new industries. So from day one, they've been pretty interested in the crypto industry, trying to understand it better and how it can help serve the needs of Saipan and the US Mariana Islands as a whole. And with the COVID crisis, every government around the world needs to be more open-minded and look for new industries and new sources of growth. And I think it's a perfect advantage for Saipan right now. We don't have COVID, so for those of you who are freaking out with lockdown and are sick of wearing masks all the time, we're pretty free here. We go to restaurants, we don't wear masks, we hang out all the time. We have weekly crypto barbecues with around 20 people. No one's wearing masks because we don't have any local cases of COVID, and everyone who comes in is tested. So it's kind of like this oasis in the desert of the chaos of the world right now. And even politically, I know many people are tired of all the chaos going on, the election. It's been going on for 4 years since last November 2016. Here, it kind of feels like we're exempt from that. No matter who wins, there's opportunity for Saipan. If the Joe Biden and the Democrats win and there's a bunch more taxes and regulations, we have a different tax system, so that won't affect us as much. And if Trump wins and there's further pro-business policies, then we can take advantage of those as well. So it really feels great to be away from all of that. And I think it's a really good opportunity for people looking to build.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, talking about a crypto industry, I think that's really important, and I think that it's something it's lacking in our discussions. I think that we need to step forward and start thinking about what does an industry look like. So when I say industry, and this is something that I've been harping on, but I think it's very important, we need to start thinking about business models. And we need to start thinking at all times as we move forward in our projects, how does this generate income? Because that's the only way that we're going to be sustainable. It can't only be mining. That can't be the only industry. And it can't only be speculating and that someone is donating to a project or putting together a foundation because they're holding heavy bags and they want, you know, the value of their holdings to increase. That has worked in the past, but we have not had that level of volatility. And, you know, furthermore, the mindset of a venture capitalist in terms of their due diligence on where they spend their money is significantly different than where somebody who is, you know, even though I may agree with them ideologically and politically, and, you know, we may see eye to eye and resonate when it comes to what Satoshi's vision is and where we want that to be in the future. I really want them to be looking at my project with in a sense, a critical eye. I want them to be looking at what I'm doing in the space and say, hey, Vin, you know, like, this is an interesting project. It's a great project, but I just don't see how it's going to make any money. Or even perhaps even better to say, hey, I'm really interested in investing in this. But I think that if we went this way, that it could make more money and be more sustainable. Because, you know, it's something great that I love Daniel Krawietz saying that to seek profit is to seek truth. Because really what you're doing is you're seeking the truth of what is it that people want and how can I solve their problems. And so we need to be thinking of Bitcoin as a tool in order to solve problems. I think there's one more question. Let's see. How was the change? Personal question somebody asked, how was the change of moving to Saipan and how was the reaction to cryptocurrencies compared to how crypto is perceived in the US? Obviously the change of moving to Saipan when I moved in April was jarring because at that time there was a 14-day quarantine mandatory for everybody upon coming in. And so most people who know me and my personality could know that I was really kind of biting my tongue on that one and just like let it happen. But I knew that there was something really nice waiting for us on the other side of that. It's a lot less now. I think if you have a test, it's just a self-quarantine. Is that what they do? Yes.
5 days self-quarantine.
5 days self-quarantine at your location. Things here are not super, enforced. There's not a high level of enforcement. People are kind of on the honor system for a lot of things here. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying one way or the other, but U.S. citizens can travel here without a passport, which is nice. So I probably right now there are not too many U.S. citizens listening because I think it's relatively late there. But when they wake up in the morning and check it out, then yeah, it's a good thing to know. In terms of how cryptocurrencies are perceived, we came here with a pretty blank slate. You know, they had heard things about Bitcoin. There had not really been much penetration of crypto in terms of adoption here. And that was one of the reasons why we immediately settled on the stable coins. And so again, when we go and we onboard somebody, our point of sale system, although it does accept Bitcoin Cash, the default is USDH. And what we push is the USDH stablecoin. And, you know, merchants have had I've been in the space since 2012, right? That's when I got my first Bitcoins in. And obviously with Cointext, you know, with our platform, I'm sure with Cointext, we've onboarded or been a part of onboarding as many people as any other business, certainly in the BCH space. And that explanation of what the hell is this thing, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, cryptocurrencies in general, has been difficult. And you always end up with the technical explanation and all of this. You know what? As we've onboarded people with USDH, now, if I'm speaking out of turn, let me know here, but I haven't talked to anybody about block times. I haven't talked to anybody about confirmations. We haven't had to do any of that.
Yeah.
Have you had a block time conversation or a?
The biggest challenge we have, I think, is that people are always worrying about the volatility. They read the article on CNN, Bitcoin is dead. You know, one of those articles that comes out every 6 months. And they're like, I thought Bitcoin was dead, it's just volatile.
Mm-hmm.
Once you explain to them that you can have crypto that's stable, their eyes sort of light up and they're like, oh, that's cool. How hard is it? And then you just show them a quick demo. Here's how easy it is to send. It's faster than credit cards, no signing receipts, there's no change as if you were to pay in cash, and it's touchless, which is good in these COVID days.
That's right. That's
an
right.
extra appeal. They're like, wow, I'll try it out. And once they try it out and they see that we come frequent their businesses, we bring our friends, we have meetups, they're very happy with it, and they even recommend it to other businesses as well. So far the feedback for everyone who's tried it has been very good, and we expect to continue to onboard more and more businesses every month.
And I think this is the key. We have so many tools available to us in Bitcoin Cash. You know, fortunately or unfortunately, it's hard to say. We have a small number of competent developers, but they are highly productive in this network. Clearly, they're highly productive. And, you know, when focused, a lot gets done. I know there are a lot of distractions right now, but like, I just want to, you know, firsthand, sitting in a place that's isolated, but that we've been able to start from scratch. There's no network that I would rather be building on right now. There's nothing as promising, and there's no way to provide a real peer-to-peer cash user experience in the same way that Bitcoin Cash offers. So, you know, and George, maybe that's so we can get you back on schedule here. I mean, that's fundamentally, you know, what I wanted to communicate today. But importantly, I would love for people to check out cryptofrontier.org. We would love to see more of you here. It is an absolutely gorgeous location. It's as beautiful as any place that I've ever been, and it really does look like a postcard wherever you're at. And the climate is like fantastic. The people are super kind, and some of the greatest beaches that I've seen. If you're into diving, if you're into fishing, if you're into hiking, and there's multiple islands. So, and you know, people ask questions about we've got Docomo fiber running the length of the island. You know, great phone service, fast internet. Yeah, am I missing anything here?
Tropical island with legal weed and no IRS.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, I mean, that's I think that's it from us here. George, are you there, buddy?
Oh yeah,
All
that's
right.
excellent. Yeah, really great talk. Great thoughts from you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, Alexander, Vin. It's Alexander, right?
Correct.
Okay, Alexander, Vin. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.